Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week I'm going to be talking at length about a game and an anime that I like and dislike, both to a point. That game and that anime is Nier Automata, or Automata, or Automatic Transmission, or Onomatopoeia, however you want to say it. Everybody knows about Nier Automata. If you don't, it's been almost a decade. But suffice it to say, I played it on my channel a couple of years ago and was frustrated. So this is going to be one of those times where I'm going to be critical of a game and it's probably not going to be very popular of an opinion because this is one of those sacred cows that you just don't antagonize, or you have to think, oh my god, it's perfect and every... No, it's not. It is not. And before everybody leaves and just says no, if you're watching this, I will just say this up front. This is a better thing to watch than it is to play. And I have reasons, personal reasons, why I think that is the case. So if you don't believe that, well, you probably clicked off this already, but suffice it to say, I have reasons. This is one of the things I didn't even have to pre-prep because I remember it so vividly, and it pissed me off. Which sucks because I don't want to hate this game, I really don't, but there are things about it that honestly the anime does better. So, okay, where do I start? So Nier was a game in 2010, I believe, created by Yoko Taro, the dude which is now his infamous Emil head all the time. So he's an auteur. He created it. It was very weird. Again, much like this game, it's more fun of experience and tone than it is gameplay-wise. But Replicant, honestly, gameplay-wise, is probably more my jam than Automata was, just because of the way Automata works and the way Nier OG works, Nier Replicant. So I'm going to keep calling it Replicant, probably just to save myself the trouble. But, you know, they re-released Replicant, and I retried it recently, and it was fun, but it wasn't Automata in terms of publicity or sales or anything like that. So I don't know why this game just hit lightning in a bottle. But at the same time, I do. It was because of 2B and because of its story. I don't think anybody gave a shit about its gameplay. Honestly, its gameplay is what got in its way half the time. But let's roll off that. Let me talk about the good. The tone of these two games are amazing and something you can't replicate in any other game ever. I remember Yoko Taro saying in a publicity thing before he made Nier, I think he was watching Kino's Journey and was struck by the cynicism and subversive nature and kind of the deadpan depressiveness of it all. And it inspired him, and you can tell in both games. Honestly, the subversive nature of games like this is what really gets me in most games now, or TV shows. Anything with this kind of vibe to it, like even to an extent something like maybe Freerun, even though you wouldn't know to look at, Freerun kind of has that vibe to it. Not as overtly as Kino's Journey, which was meant to be fucking weird and kind of take the piss out of a lot of people and weird things, but it wasn't weird for the sake of weird. You know, it was, let's show some weird habits of people that could really happen in an extreme situation. And Nier really kind of hit that mode. And it was not a fun experience. It was not meant to be fun. It was not really meant to be funny. Nier Replicant or Nier Automata. I think Automata tries to be more comedic, but it's best when it throws you in a situation and you just have this feeling that, yeah, something bad is going to happen to this. You don't know what it's going to be, but it's gonna happen and it's gonna suck. The other thing Automata takes from Nier and maybe from Drakengard is the idea that one ending is not enough. You gotta replay the game plenty of times to get through it. You have to play this game at least 3 times. And I did. Up to a point. And again, that's where some of the issues come in. I'll get that in the gameplay bit. But you have to get into Automata for its story and its characters, because these androids are being sent to Earth, basically, by this disembodied Council of Humanity. This set of people that have decided these androids, the Yorha division, are going to be able to destroy machines and get the world back in the hands of humanity. So they do that, but they deal with viruses and they deal with all these crazy things that happened, and you're tasked with controlling 2B, voiced by Kira Buckland, not Kira Bleh. Yeah, Kira Buckland. This is the role she's probably most known for, and yeah, she brings it. 2B is not just I wear a dress and I wear a skirt and I stab people. You know, she has a tendency to be terse and just kind of stick to the motion, stick to the plan, stick to the whatever. But you slowly kind of realize the androids, like, she's starting to question things and understand that as the game progresses, you know, she starts to question what her place is as an android and whether it's to be what it is. And part of that has to do with palling around with 9S, voiced by Kyle McCarley. He's basically just a scamp. He likes messing with her. He likes hitting on her and flirting and being friends and things, and basically saying, oh, this is a shopping mall. Maybe we could have gone shopping if this was real. And she's like, meh. Nah, whatever. Fuck it. So you get this, like, budding relationship happening where she's slowly kind of, yeah, I mean, she's tsundere. Basically, that's what she is the entire freaking game. You start recognizing that she does care for him in some way, but you also have to peel back other layers of them as androids, the commanding officer, and the operators that work with them. And part of the best fun in this game is the operators, really. Operator 6-0 specifically, voiced by Cassandra Lee Morris, would always just make random just call-ins to 2B, and she starts crying about things and just wondering, like, if she's gonna go on a date with another operator, and 2B is just like, I don't have time for this, go away. So they have this, like, weird relationship. I want to say, is it 21-0 or 20-0 or 22-0? Not as fun, but, you know, gets on 9S's nerves in his playthrough, and, you know, plays more the straight woman to 9S, who's a bit more of a scamp, as I've said. That's the best way to describe him. He wants to do things a little fun and have fun somehow. How androids have emotions, I don't know. But they work with it. It works great. And as they're destroying machines in these destroyed places and plants, they happen upon a resistance camp run by Anemone, voiced by Erica Lindbeck. Basically, it doesn't really do much, but just gives you missions, and you just kind of do missions back and forth and do things. In the anime version, this was what caught me, was one of the first things that is a changeover. Not only do you see a lot of the story bits enhanced, because now you're basically taking what was cutscene stuff in a video game and, you know, dialogue in a static, you're forcing yourself to do more stuff. And, you know, they ended up not just making it 12 episodes, they made it 24. So you have to add and do more things. And what they do is they actually make Lily, voiced by Erica Mendez, this leader of the resistance camp. So Lily doesn't show up in the original game. In fact, she's mainly just referenced as, oh, she's a dead lady. So it was kind of strange that in the game, your contact is Anemone the whole freaking game, most of the time. Lily is spoken about in vague terms at best, and you don't see not hide nor hair, but in the anime version, she's there for the entire freaking show. is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, they add enough to her that I think is a nice layered thing, but it also seems like it just kind of gets in the way a bit because the resistance doesn't really matter. It matters as a MacGuffin or as a set piece. Is like, you're here on this shitty planet to resist the soldiers, and the Yorha are here to help you. And I'm like, okay, just kill machines. What are we killing? So a few episodes go by, or in the show, and a few missions go by in the game, and you go to an amusement park. One of the best set pieces I've ever seen, and it takes 10 minutes, if that. It takes 10 minutes. They have these androids that are like, "Be happy, we have fun, hooray!" and they throw confetti everywhere. And you don't have to kill them, but knowing 2B, like, she kind of wants to, right? So she kind of does, but then she kind of doesn't when I turn into a goddamn tank. But then you find, I believe it's Simone, and her boss fight is this crazy boss fight where she takes Yorha soldiers and basically throws them at you under her command, and she's singing the whole time. And the amusement park and the boss fight, I believe it's called Beautiful Song or something like that. I would have thought, in a normal game, that would have been like a whole dungeon. It would have taken like an hour and a half. It's done in 10 minutes. And you're done. You just leave and you just think, this is fucking amazing. I don't remember it being so short. I remember it being a lot bigger. But that's part of the fun. Because there's so many other things that go on, but nothing is really as cool as seeing that the first time. But then as you go along, you deal with the main leaders supposedly of the machines, Adam and Eve, voiced by Greg Chun and Ray Chase, respectively. I didn't make sure I got it right. Because Adam is the smart one, Eve is kind of the dopey brother, one. And Adam's whole thing is he wants to understand humans and thinks they're fascinating and doesn't really like the Yorha soldiers and wants to fuck with them and all. So 2B kills him. Of course he fucking does. But that sends Chase off the Eve, off the rails. And then that goes on and it goes on and it goes on. While that's being done, you also get the perspective of a character known as A2, voiced by Jeremy Lee. So she starts popping in here and there in some later missions in the first route, and you start dealing with these things. But she's way more important a presence than one would believe, and she's actually one of the main characters. And you start seeing her thing, and honestly, the anime does way more with her than the game does. And I think that's one of the strong suits. Another strong aspect of the story in the game is Pascal's village of pacifist machines. Pascal's voiced by Alexis Tipton. He is this well-to-do, well, not well-to-do, but compared to just well-adjusted machine who is trying to protect basically children from other influences like viruses and other things, and trying to teach them that pacifism works, knowing it's a Nier game on that. But Pascal's cool and all, and the anime fleshes him out as well, a couple of episodes here and there. You also get the dialogue stuff from pods, so each character gets their own pod, and they kind of snark at the they do the normal robotic thing, but they're kind of like Aiba and Somnium Files, where they'll snark at people too every once in a while in a deadpan kind of way. Obviously not as lewd, but a lot of the story things, a lot of the crazy stuff, you kind of have to experience, right? One of the changes in the anime is that you focus more on Adam than you do Eve, because his story takes more precedence. They chose that as kind of the end of like Core 1, episode 10, 11, 12. as opposed to Eve being kind of the final boss in that instance. But it's not even the final boss because it's a Nier game. You have to play the game over and over and over and over again. So I don't want to go through everything, but I kind of went over some of the vagueness of the plots. But again, if you've played this game, you kind of know that's the strength of the story. The fact that they layer things thick with subversion and kind of just this despair, and nothing is going to turn out well in the end, and everything ends in hope, I guess, but not through the power of friendship, but weird things. But I want to talk about the anime doing it, and I think the story is enhanced because you see characters' emotions, or in their faces you see a little bit more. Like, I don't think the animation in the anime, it's a typical licensed property quality. They do enough with it that I think it works. Obviously, the action scenes are going to be better in a video game than they're going to be in an anime, but I liked being able to be with the characters more, because the dialogue is more, in your face, and you can see their emotions, and you can see what 2B and 9S and A2 are like talking about and dealing with. A lot of A2 stuff gets to be a lot more about Pascal's village in a way. You get to see more of Devila and Popola for, the Nier flashbacks and shit. So the anime does a pretty good job, and honestly, I think is the way you should experience it. I know that sounds strange because it's a video game that a lot of people like, but I don't. I really don't like some of the choices that Nier made, quality of life wise, quest wise, the way it plays, just weird things that it would do that would just piss me off, and it ended up becoming one of those death by 1,000 cuts sorts of situations. Despite being a very freewheeling, action hack and slash, and just kill and murder, kill and murder, kill and murder, kill and murder, kill the machines, kill them, shoot them, do it all. They have a very layered system, but and what I will give it is it has a lot of versatility. My method tended to be auto healing because I was terrible at dodging and things. It wasn't like so crazy. It's not like a Souls game, but it does feel like enemies hit harder than they should very early, and it was very tough to get my footing. So that if you're going in expecting a easy breezy East game where you kill things and you barely get hurt, or if you do get hit, you're not like fucking ruined, a little bit harder than that. I'd still think that, say, the bosses are easier. You're able to dodge pretty easily and get away with things the more chipsets you have. And obviously, like I said, I focused on auto heals and auto guarding and all that shit because I'm not really good at that sort of thing. And that wasn't even my main problem after a while. I'd mainly just shoot things with the pod and do tick damage and kill the machines when I had to, and I wouldn't really beat bosses with too much trouble. So it's not a hard game. It's more getting around. It's more doing things. It's a lot of the weirdness of its design. And there are a couple of things. Two or three specific things I remember getting annoyed by. Early on, you're in the Resistance, and you have this big enough open world to go around in. You go to the desert, the apartment complex. You go to the sewer to get to the amusement park. You go to Pascal's village and whatnot, and that's fine early. But they give you side quests. You don't have to do them, so that is partly my fault. But I decided to do them early. But you have to go back to the resistance camp every time you beat a mission, so you have to traverse the world. Say you want to do some fishing or a random side quest or things, you have to traverse the open world. You have a set place you're going to go, so they give you that much, but you still have to traverse 5 to 10 minutes of the same plains or the desert again to get back to where you were. It isn't until chapter 5 when you're done with the first chapter, you do the resistance thing, you do the fight with Simone in the amusement park, and you go to Pascal's village, and then you go and you meet Adam and Eve, that they finally give you fast travel. They could have given you fast travel at the beginning, but they didn't. So instead, they have you wait like 3 hours in the game to do it. So I don't really understand that. It's true, it's open for the rest of the game, but that initial... like, you're supposed to, like, want to be in this world, and the more time I was traversing around in it, I just felt, get me out of there. It's dumb. Most typified by a side quest about this guy that was in Pascal's village, who apparently is such a ladies' man or a passionate thinker or some kind of person that he was getting letters from people. So, you do his thing. Tasks you to get a letter. I believe you take a letter from the desert to the guy, or you get a letter, or the dude reads a letter and then says, send a letter to this person in the desert and whatever, and I'll respond to it. So you go to the desert, it's 10 minutes. Then you come back, it's another 10 minutes. Then you find out you got to do it again. And then you go to the amusement park. Then you do it again. And then you go back and forth and back and forth. It took me about an hour and a half to just send a dude letters. To the point where he basically just said, I don't like any of these people. Fuck you. Thank you for replying, but fuck you is basically what he amounted to. You made me walk all this fucking way without fucking fast travel because you would wait until the next chapter to do it. Why not put this side quest after I gained fast travel? Other quests early on weren't so bad, but why was this one specifically? Again, if you're wanting to experience the game blind, which I mostly did, I focus in on the story stuff. Where do I go for the story stuff to do the story things, to do the whatever? I did the side quests on my own. Had no foreknowledge that this thing was going to happen without fast travel. So, shame on me, I guess. I don't fucking know. So that was like strike 1 and 2, like kind of rolled in together. Like I just like, but basically strike 1. Strike 2 is the hacking minigame. I don't like it. I really don't like it. It's silly and it fits 9S's character, but a lot of it is just, hey, don't get shot 3 or 4 times. Oh, you gotta do it again. Oh, it's not even the ones where you gotta run through. I like the ones where you run through the area. And sorry for the ambulance coming by, because of course there's an ambulance coming by. The stuff of you break through the barriers and you do the thing, do whatever. I hate the one where you have the barrier around and you gotta shoot the dudes because they're shooting you. Because you're not as equipped as they are at taking hits. And if you die, like if you take like 3 or 4 hits, it's like a shoot 'em up and you fail and you gotta do it all over again. I'm like, let me fucking skip this stupid shit. So because it's 9S's whole thing, the hacking minigame happens a lot. And it happens with 2B and A2 anyway, so it's not even a 9S specific thing. Less said about the ending, the better, because basically if you didn't like the shoot 'em up bits of the preceding stuff in the game, well, the fucking ending bit's gonna fucking drive me. I didn't even get to the ending, by the way. Not in my playthrough. I quit in Route 3. So, again, I have a strike against it for the hacking minigame being okay, whatever. I have an issue with the fast travel not being fast travel early enough for a fucking side quest. You know, silly, stupid shit. It's fine. Okay. Dumb shit, but nothing that I quit the game over, right? I begrudgingly kind of got through the hacky, slashy, hard dodge shit, you know, because I was loving the story. I know what this game will do story-wise, and I wanted to show people that maybe have never played Automata, like, hey, the story's worth going through the battle stuff. But then I got to Route 3, and they do this major angle where everybody gets hacked by viruses and whatever, so you're dumped in this, like, gigantic fucking, like, mass of virus-afflicted androids. And you basically just got to survive for, like, half an hour to an hour and just fucking destroy them, right? So I'm doing that. And I'm doing that. And I'm doing that. And I'm surviving. And I can't save it. And there's no checkpoints. But I'm doing it. Slowly but surely. It's pretty hard, but I'm doing it. I'm at the decent enough level. It's kind of hard, but I'm doing it. Until the game basically says, you went out of the combat arena we never told you about. Excuse me? A combat arena? You're telling me because of this open world that I can ditch the game rather than use it as an advantage to lure people away, which is what my initial plan was, to lure enemies away and pick them off as I was running out of the way. But whomever designed it, I'm guessing it was Yoko Taro, decided, no, this will be one of those funny endings where you eat a fish and you basically rot and blow up, or you take your black box and blow up, or you turn 9S into a stripper, whatever the fuck, those random endings, right? I do not know if 9S became a stripper, but whatever. He does a bunch of weird endings because of the alphabet. So he's got like 26 endings. And a lot of them are jokes. One of them, I guess, was running away from a mission, going AWOL. While I spent an hour trying to defeat the fucking thing without a save. So a game that I was already having issues with, already trying not to hate, outwardly. I'm still saying the story's great. The story's great. The story's great. It's working great. I'm into Route 3. I'm near the end of this fucking game. I can make it, but 20 more episodes and whatever. And I've got this, hook or by crook. And the game just pulls something like that out of its ass to say, you went AWOL. Even though you weren't supposed to. Even though you were never told. They didn't give me a hint to say, did you want to leave this? Did you want to restart? Did you want to escape? We don't recommend escaping because it will cause a game over. Something so simple as that. Something so simple as a game over screen to say, okay, pull it back. We want to game over. No, you have to fight. Or put a barrier up and say, no, you cannot leave this area. We have a designated area. That I can understand. But to not have any checkpoints and to force me to fight this whole thing again is fucking bullshit. I hate this game and everything it tried to do in the sake of being funny, or how some of its designs were just not very accommodating to somebody who is trying to play for the story. It wasn't that difficult a game. I struggled in some bits, but I wanted to kind of work my way through this fucking bullshit. But the game throws in something I wasn't prepared for, but still punished me for, because I didn't know it. Because I didn't know that you can run out of a certain area and then cause a game over. I would have liked to have been warned that as a sort of, if you leave a designated point or whatever. They didn't even give me a fucking red bar to say, do not run out of this area. It will cause an instant game over. A red bar of doom around like a red circle of doom around, 200 fucking yards or something dumb, so that I'd have to try harder against the horde of androids that I'm fighting. That would have built tension rather than piss me off. So admittedly, it's maybe my own fucking problem. I might have been the only person to ever have that happen to. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I don't know. Maybe somebody had issues with the end of the game. God knows, I'm sure lots of people probably had trouble with the ending. I never even got there. I don't think I got to play as A2. So fuck me, I guess. The whole fun of playing as A2 would have been to snark on 2B's pod because he's a square. I didn't get to do that. I got fucked over so hard I just said, no, I'll rage quit. So then the anime comes out and basically gives me everything I want. These characters that I have spent a long time talking about and enjoying and just reveling in their story and seeing these weird side stories of all these crazy machines doing crazy machine things, and then going into the second route and kind of learning, okay, there's a little bit more and there's a little bit more, and then to the third route, and then adding in stuff like going more down Adam's road and seeing more with him, or trying to see things from Lily's perspective, or getting more with Devil and Popola, and of course A2 having more time to herself because she gets the majority, if not the full treatment of the second core, the second season, with a dash of 9S, going fucking apeshit, right? All that stuff I'm enjoying about the story. I don't have to split my time. I don't have to, I have to beat this segment to get to the good story bits. It's kind of like the Metal Gear Solid thing. It's like, do this story bit, or do this crazy fighting bit, or do this stealth bit to get to our next story bit. It's like, well, no, Metal Gear Solid wasn't this hard before, and it never punished the player by choice. It was like a death by 1,000 cuts. But instead of a death by 1,000 cuts, it ended up being like a death of 3 major stab wounds that just pissed me off. And my experience varies. Maybe you didn't experience any of the frustration and you were tied to how the game ran and getting to use 2B or 9S or A2 to their full potential and trying new attacks and trying new things, doing all the side missions, and maybe you had nothing. No issue at all. And maybe my experience was just one. Again, I'm more of a turn-based RPG kind of person. I'm a story-focused or character-focused person. I've said this constantly for years now. Trying Nier Automata was an exercise in frustration, as opposed to watching the anime, which took all of that frustration away, and I was left with an 8 out of 10, to put a number on it, experience, and or a 9 or a 10 experience, like an 8 out of 10 version of a 10 story, right? Nier Automata, based on its story and its aura and the way it proceeds and the way it does things, is absolutely fucking perfect. It is just the perfect type of, the world is fucked up, you are fucked up, you can't win, deal with it kind of sad story of despair that I kind of like. Having to play a shoddy, fine in spots game with some glaring problems attached to it to get through those bits is what's really frustrating and why I can't recommend it. So, would I recommend playing Nier Automata? No. God, no. Maybe watching it on YouTube so you know what the good story bits look like and why they're so memorable. But watch the anime version. Get Crunchyroll or whatever, because that's how I found it. They had it on Crunchyroll last year and 2 or 3 years ago. I'm like, I got everything I wanted out of the Nier Automata story and lore, plus more stuff, without any of the frustrations that I had. And all I got out of the niggles was just animations are a little iffy sometimes, and maybe it's a little stiff in spots, but it was Nier. It was it's what I wanted this to feel like. I was happy to watch it, as opposed pissed off and frustrated to play it. So maybe that was just me. Maybe I'm the only person to feel that way, but maybe, maybe not. Anyway, I would recommend watching Nier Automata as opposed to playing it. Anyway, let's talk about what's coming up next. Late into September, we've got Illusion of Gaia. October, we got Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun. East 10 Nordics in late October, and in early November, I'll be talking about Zenshu. That'll be fun. I love me some Zenshu. Talking about stuff I loved watching. But anyway, I wanted to get this one out of the way. It was one of those ones I was kind of dreading doing because it's kind of that like holy bastion of everything good about JRPGs, and I just was like, I don't really like this a whole lot. So, I don't like being negative. So I kind of put the ones that are negative off to the side quite a bit, which is why I haven't talked about Final Fantasy 12 or 13, honestly, and I've waited to do all the good ones instead. So, this was a frustrating situation where I like so much of it, but I hated playing it at the same time. It was such a unique experience that I remember it so fondly for all the wrong reasons. But that'll do for today, and I'll see you next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.